Austin, the big picture is there's a strategic background for all these moves. You think about Nvidia partnering with OpenAI. Number one, they want to get equity in a company that could be worth several trillion dollars, right? So there's that aspect of it. But this partnership beyond the numbers is also it's a self-build partnership, which we've talked about. Nvidia's moves, especially in our Neo Cloud episode, if people went a couple episodes back, I believe it was, that they have worked really actively to not be entirely reliant on 3 customers. So they've been trying to create more companies at this hyperscaler scale. So doing this self-build arrangement with OpenAI, it allows them to get involved with parts of the value chain they're not currently involved with. If you go and you Google extreme co-design, you'll get an NVIDIA presentation where it talks about how they're trying to go deeper into something they call extreme co-design of AI factories. And the concept here, Austin, is going further and further along the value chain of what they are going to provide for their customers. And that's why we've talked about them being kind of the Apple approach, where it's a big system with networking, and they're increasingly developing so many more aspects of the data center, whereas the custom compute side, that's more of like your Windows approach, where, you have a much larger kind of grouping of companies handling more discrete functions. So, Austin, this is a very beyond the fact, the uncharitable reading of this would be NVIDIA is simply funding OpenAI so that they can buy their products. As I noted earlier, they're funding 20% for this particular instance. What it is allowing them to do is going very deep into trying to create more ways to approach their greatest weakness, which is allowing them to do this extreme co-design. Now, for AMD, they've been focused on the opposite problem, where they're basically just GPUs, and they want to get into larger systems. So a partnership with OpenAI, well, Austin, the easiest analogy, it's a mall getting an anchor tenant, right? Mm-hmm. You can't go out and build your mall often until you have, that company that's going to take up a huge amount of your space and also create the foot traffic to go out and, secure the rest of the mall, right? So by them being partners with OpenAI, they have someone who's going to buy the 6 gigawatts of capacity. They're going to be able to work through how to scale AMD's products because they've got a lot of gaps. They've got gaps that they don't have the networking that NVIDIA has. They're working with broader partnerships. They did a major acquisition to be more of a systems company recently. And this partnership will allow them to essentially blunt many of their greatest weaknesses. For NVIDIA, what's interesting, Austin, when I talk about them wanting to do this extreme co-design, they are trying to blunt the threat of the custom competitors. It lets them get in and take away the margin from hyperscalers and ODMs in some of these areas. For AMD, with this partnership, they are concerned with becoming NVIDIA's primary competitor. Because right now, the question's been, who's NVIDIA's competitor? Is it AMD as another company selling GPUs, or is it custom chips? So far, all the revenue's been going to custom chips. What AMD wants is they are actually the primary competitor. But now, Austin, the bottom line in all of this, NVIDIA is still in great shape. If someone's looking at this and saying, okay, AMD just did this deal, it looks like they are catching up with NVIDIA. Here's the numbers. Austin, in one of the first episodes of this podcast, I did a segment how NVIDIA could do $5 in EPS. It's our number one performing YouTube video. It's been watched by more than 10,000 people. And I broke down why the street's estimates were too low, and I thought NVIDIA could get to $5. That was a very bold call at the time. It was significantly above Wall Street. I saw an upgrade today for NVIDIA calling for $8 in EPS in 2026 and $11 in 2027. Those numbers were unfathomable to anyone when we started this podcast a year ago. And now we're seeing those calls on Wall Street. So, if you're looking at this news and saying, should I sell my NVIDIA? Is this a complication? The reality is the news has gotten so much better for NVIDIA in recent months. It's borderline staggering, and it's hard to even take stock of it.